up a little further. Hello, everybody. Here, I'm moving it just a little. There we go. That might be a little bit better. It's Natalie from Creative Makers. I know no one's on right now, but you will be in a minute. Before we start, I just want to point out, yes, I broke my nose yesterday. I'm okay. Everything's fine.
It wasn't me.
The show must go on. You should have seen the other guy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we go. Hello, Connie. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, second person. I'm so glad you're here. Yes, I broke my nose. Yes, I look weird. It'll be fine. I'm fine. So no worries. Anyway, I am here today with my friend Wayne Hunt, and we're sitting in his studio. Hello. And we're going to talk to him about what he does. I'm very excited. Hello, Wayne.
Hello, Natalie. Thanks for coming to my house, my tiny studio, my goldfish bowl.
Everybody has a tiny studio. This is the number one complaint of every person I talk to and every artist I know.
Well, it does limit the size of the work you can do.
Yeah, either tiny studios or tiny spaces.
Yeah.
Not even studios.
This is a condo bedroom. I mean, talk about a limitation.
Hey, whatever works. Some people don't even have this, so, this is good. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to jump in. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, first question and only question. Tell me about what it was like being a creative kid. Or what did it look like for you as a child? Did you know?
I'm the kid that didn't say a word until about 6th grade to anybody.
Really?
I was the opposite of you probably. I was too shy to even ask a question in class. I was almost... dangerously shy. I mean, now I obviously have overcome that. So I just introverted, and I just reverted to doing my thing.
And your thing was art and
drawing and odds and ends. And I, like a lot of us, you have a teacher that sort of changes things. I had a teacher in 3rd or 4th grade who thought this was interesting, and gave me some stuff and started working on stuff. And so then, instead of speaking verbally, you're speaking visually, and you can get stuff out. And then we lived in Colorado for a year when my dad got his master's degree, and the teacher asked us to draw a map of our neighborhood. Man, I was all over that. I did the best map, and she put it on the wall. I thought, oh man, art can go on the wall. And that was like...
That was your wake up?
It was just so cool. I was the only one that got their map on the wall. Man, this is where I'm going. I want my map on the wall.
Hold on a second. I want to make sure. Can you guys hear okay? Because
I'm mumbling.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to speak up just a little bit.
Yeah.
That way everybody can hear you. Yeah. Talk as if I'm deaf.
Anyway, ironically, I had a career of designing real maps. I mean, my design practice was heavy on wayfinding and map design, and
really?
I probably did 50 maps for National Park Service, theme parks, museums.
Now, when you talk about maps, are the kind of maps that had like little
visitor guide,
like pictures and stuff? This is where you are.
All kinds. Yeah, the "You Are Here" maps, abstract, realistic, bird's eye. There's all kinds of techniques.
That sounds really fun.
But I think that map I did in the 4th grade for my teacher was the beginning of that. And here, 70x years later, I'm still a map guy. I still love maps. I love diagrams, maps. Planning thing, I like the organizing of stuff.
That's funny. I had a similar thing happen when I was a kid too, drawing a map from our road from home to school. Yeah, that was really fun.
It was a similar assignment. No, and I've used that assignment in my own teaching and at design conferences. Mapping is very interesting.
Yeah,
it's an abstraction of reality, and you can be realistic or highly abstract or anything in between. So
understanding when you were a kid that, wow, art can go on the walls.
Oh man, that's great.
And it's a representation of me, especially as a quiet kid.
And other people look at it and they go, yeah.
So from there, were you like, that's it, I'm going to study art?
No, it just sort of made that more of a focus. And then, we all have these little landmarks in our art lives. The next thing I remember, we were in Nebraska by then, and my dad was teaching at the university, and Philip Johnson, the great architect.
I don't know who it is, but okay, I believe you.
I'm sure you know who he is if you look it up. He had designed a new art museum for the university, And I went there, and two things happened. One, he had put carpeting on the walls, this beige carpeting. It was like, instead of stucco or something, it was carpeting. And I thought, well, that should be on the floor. No, it's on the wall. Isn't that cool? And they had a Mark Rothko collection, or a show or something. I remember looking at those and thinking, that's interesting. But when you see four of them together, it's just like, it's like in church. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. An artist named Lee Bontico, that great female artist who does constructions that are kind of eerie with canvas wire. They're kind of alien-like. I'm sure you know her work if you saw it.
Probably.
It's stretched leather and canvas and big, heavy pieces. I thought, wow, that's great. And that led me to my interest in Rauschenberg and Kienholz and Larry Rivers, the guys who glued stuff together
Right.
from the street and told stories and
Yeah, assemblage
narrative.
work.
Assemblage, yeah.
Yeah.
Assemblage.
Assemblage. Sorry.
You get more money if it's assemblage.
Yeah, assemblage. So, okay, so this led you in that direction. So in college, what was your major?
Well, you're missing one chapter here. I discovered cars like all kids, and I started drawing cars. And I became the guy that drew the cars on people's T-shirts. Remember that?
Yeah.
Airbrush paint, hot rods, pinstriping. So I did a whole 3 or 4 years of car-oriented dragsters, customs, exaggerated hot rod. There's a whole school of art. Big Daddy Roth and George Barris and those crazy custom guys. I'm sure you
Again.
Yeah. So I did that, and then I did lettering on people's mailboxes. So I learned about lettering. And this is high school.
So you did a lot of graphic stuff.
Yeah, I was totally doing graphic stuff, in addition to drawing and fooling around.
So by this time in high school, are you talking to people?
Oh yeah, I was talking a little bit. Yeah, I was getting less shy, but I've still got that shy side unless I really crank it up.
Well, you know what? Based on some of our conversation beforehand, now I hear you. Yeah. Now I really understand a little bit more about you.
And then I think these cool moments. I haven't listed these. The next cool thing, we had a very progressive high school. Now we're in Chicago. See, we're
moving around.
We're moving around.
Yeah.
And it was a brand new high school. It was so cool that it had lockers without combinations because people are going to be honest, right?
Oh, is that what happens in Chicago?
It didn't work so well in this high school. But we had an art area with 2 big rooms and a kiln in high school.
Ooh.
And we had a really hip teacher, Bill something, and he was so hip he let us smoke by the kiln in high school. We could go out and have a cigarette during art class.
That is really very progressive.
1963 or 4. And if you were smart, you could take your study hall and you could weave it into the art class, so you get 2 full hours in the art room on your day. And he had Peter, Paul and Mary records. He played Bob Dylan. He had a Studebaker hawk. Probably the single coolest individual I ever met was this art teacher. Everybody wanted to be this guy, including me. I want to be this guy. I want to have a Studebaker hawk and play cool records in an art studio.
Yeah.
And we did that, and I became kind of one of the art kids. And at that time, Hallmark had a nationwide contest called Hallmark Gold Keys or Hallmark something. Forget the name. And he put my work for it, and I won a state watercolor award.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And so.
And you were what, 17?
17, yeah.
17, something like that?
Senior in high school or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought, I want to be like this guy. I want to teach high school kids, or maybe. So I need an art education degree. So I got a small scholarship to Illinois, Champaign.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be an art teacher taking ed classes on art. So I go down to Champaign-Urbana. I'm only there a few weeks, and there's these cool posters on the wall and logos and magazine layouts. And what's that? Well, that's graphic design. I dropped that scholarship and became a graphic designer like within 6-8 weeks.
Wow.
Dropped the ed classes and became a graphic designer by vocation, avocation.
That changed everything.
Yeah, it did. At the same time, I was still doing my little artsy things and watercolors and painting and constructions. But I got my degree in graphic design and never looked back. And that was 1969. So that was
Wow.
a long time.
So so you had your own studio, but I'm sure that you worked up to that, or did you?
Again, more landmarks. I happened to get a job with one of the great designers of that era, a guy named John Follis, who, this is, you have not heard of him, but he was a guy who did exhibitions, interiors, graphics, furniture design, a studio on Venice Boulevard, downtown LA, and I got hired as a junior designer. And he was kind of Charles Eames without being Charles Eames. And it was an environment that just doing the coolest projects. And
That's like a big break, right?
it was
there.
a super big break and lucky. And then even better, the guy that hired me, who was a design director, left after a couple of years, and I kind of got his job. I was never officially, but he was gone, and I started.
And you just stepped up.
Well, you do this. Let's take that one. Those colors need work, and I sort of became the guy in the studio. So that's maybe I'm 26 by then, or 27, and it's great and it's cool. But I'm thinking, man, I could do this on my own. I don't need to be there. I could. So I reluctantly left that and opened my own.
And you pursued your own. Now, okay,
Yeah.
so you were a shy guy. Having your own business, and now you have to like solicit for work.
Yeah. It's,
it's
a contradiction. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what every artist struggles with, soliciting your own work.
I think I'm pretty good in structured situations where you have to talk to people and make a presentation and explain something obvious. I guess in a less structured situation, my shyness would take over. But boy, in a meeting, I'm your man.
There's purpose.
I can present and sell and convince people to do something.
Huh.
As
That's
I
such
did.
an interesting combination.
As I did for years.
Yeah. Okay, so you did that for a long time.
40 years we had, and it's still going. I sold it to my two partners, and they're still going.
Now, during that whole time that you were doing your own business, are you still pursuing whatever you want on the outside?
Ironically, I let it go for a while, and then maybe 10 years ago, I started on this collage thing at night, and and it was not unlike what I had been doing maybe back in the 60s and 70s. And I just started about 10 years ago, just building up all this stuff, and that's what ended up in that first show. But it was totally related to what I had been doing all along 20 years ago.
I posted for the group a couple of
Yeah.
your pieces. I posted Bubble Up, and I posted Taco Salad, and I also posted the sketches.
Taco salad.
Yeah. Anyway, and I also posted sketches for Bubble Up because you had color combinations.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it was
yeah.
part of your
Yeah.
website. So I just
Yeah.
stole one of your pictures and I put it up myself. Anyway, and so I'm thinking that maybe Bubble Up and Taco Salad, for that matter, was.
Those are pretty far down the road. Let me
Are they?
grab something super quick here.
We're grabbing stuff.
Yeah, just.
For you, those of you that are just joining us, yes, I broke my nose. I'm feeling fine. It happened yesterday. I walked into a sliding glass door. It's all right.
I don't know.
Okay.
if this
So is this like it's the early work? Here, let's move this forward.
I think this is not
Oh.
inaccurate.
Oh, so we're talking 2000. All right, so this was 22 years ago.
Yeah.
And this is stuff that you were playing with. I'm going to move it forward a little bit. Sorry
Yeah,
about the shadow.
fairly
You two guys.
conventional collage and assembly, but it's not unlike the stuff I'm still doing, right?
I wouldn't call this conventional at all.
Well,
I
there's a
mean-
media and
This might be conventional for you, but this is not the way I collage.
yeah.
Not at all.
I like a straight line, you know?
Yeah, see, and I don't like straight lines at all. But yeah.
But you can see here's a piece of string that's in with this little hook and a newspaper thing. So it is.
So yeah, here we'll just bring that in a little bit closer so you can see the hook, the string, the newspaper, teeny tiny newspaper. And I don't know what else.
Yeah, it is the eclectic materials. It's also, now looking at it, it's got quite a lot of structure and
Yeah.
dividing space up architecturally like I like to do.
So this is what you were starting with. This is what you sort of brought yourself back to when you decided to start working.
So that's 22 years ago. So that's maybe halfway between then and now, right?
Yeah.
So the bubble up thing is really quite recent because it's a more freeform kind of thing. But I'm totally into compositions and.
So I take it that all of that was born out of graphics because out of your work, aside from your sketches, which we'll talk about in a minute, your work is completely graphic. It's about shapes and geometry and intersections.
Intersection,
right?
yeah. Overlapping structural systems.
Yeah.
Grids.
What? Out of curiosity, messages? Are there messages in your work?
If you could find all my old stuff, there was a sense of narrative or nostalgia, which a word I don't like, but I've kind of left that behind. I'm not interested in a lot of meaning or narrative. I'm interested in the
Well, I hate to tell you,
formal.
but you don't have really a choice in
I
that.
know. The narrative can be seen in there, and you can even look at an abstract like Arnoldi painting and see farm fields. You can.
Right.
Whether he's intended that or not. So it's very hard to free yourself from narrative and meaning, but I don't start out with that. I'm not too interested in narrative or storytelling. That's not in this work.
So it's mostly feeling.
It's like abstract music. It's just pure compositions for its own sake.
There's feeling that's generating
something.
Yeah.
I want it to be interesting. I don't know if it's moving, but it's stuff I want to be around. And when I go in a really great art exhibit, I just it's hard to express what that's like, but you get it,
You have a really interesting way of merging colors into your geometries as well. Is there rhyme or reason to any of that?
I'm really into color, and I don't know that I have any science, but I've been a design teacher for so long at Art Center that I have developed a kind of a color vocabulary. I could teach color.
By the way, notice yet another person that was part of Art Center, knew people at Art Center, went to Art Center, whatever. Yeah. Here it is.
So I have maybe a bit of a color theory, but I think color is interesting and important, and I do have trouble working in all monochrome. If I start in monochrome, I inevitably want to
add something,
add a little color to it or something. But I like color systems. I like analogous color from one side of the color wheel, and then I like to work opposite the color wheel and throw in a green and an orange, just to tease people a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to
keep it interesting.
Create a little color tension and a little, Yeah.
Do you want to pull out a couple of things and talk about? I know that you have like a few things over here that aren't framed up, or some maybe some whatever you want.
Okay, here. Example, I unwrap this.
There's a little something coming out of the bag and everything.
2010?
Oh no, 2015. Okay, so this is a 2015 piece. I think I saw this show. I remember you talking about the frames. So
7 years ago. So
I'll hold it up and you can just talk away.
Well, so here's a kind of perpendicular left and right composition when I threw in this diagonal in a giant numeral, kind of a typographic reference, and then that orange is sort of carries the day, orange and purple, kind of in the upper corner there. I've got this vertical physical rod that goes through the space. So this is maybe typical of my thinking of organizing space. And then unlike collage artists, I have an extra, in this case, extra inch to make it dimensional.
Yeah.
So it goes from
right in through here.
So
it's actually inset even further than the frame.
So you get not only the left and right XY composition, you have a Z, XYZ, to get a little more depth. And that takes you into the assemblage area. So it's kind of a thick collage or a flat assemblage, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then I kept getting deeper and deeper.
We can call it bas relief.
Bas relief, the deeper you get, the more sculptural it becomes.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So this represents 2 or 3 or 4 years of probably did 100 pieces like this, various sizes, and you kind of move on from that. But I still like that energy. And,
Yeah, no, it's definitely got energy and movement in it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the colors really buzz off of each other. I think that
Yeah.
orange pop is great.
Yeah. It's got a piece of typography in it, kind of a big numeral 2.
I you know what I want to talk about too is this frame, because I know this frame was a big deal. I remember you talking
Yeah.
about having them made, and it's acrylic, right?
Yes.
It's an acrylic frame. It's all one piece. When you see the back, because out of curiosity, there's just a deep inset, and the piece just drops right in and then screws right in, and it becomes, I don't know, it becomes like almost like Tupperware to me in a way.
You think it's too shiny?
No, I don't. And I remember you struggling with that shiny. I think the shiny against the flat of the work is beautiful, because now you're getting both elements, in my point of view. You know, I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, I took, 2015, I took these pieces over to And Lab Gallery, Sanook Park, who has a gallery in the brewery.
This brewery is a big arts city, for lack of better words. It's a big building that used to be a brewery, and then they decided to change it into lofts for artists.
It's actually
huge.
7 buildings.
It's 7 buildings,
and
right?
600 artists, studios, craftsmen, and it was the first ever on the West Coast of a sort of a rehab arts community.
Yeah,
it was a big deal.
Someplace I always wanted to live.
It's sort of run its course, and it's been replaced by others, but there's still a lot of things over there.
Yeah, and so that's what we're talking about when we say the brewery.
So Sanook Park had a wonderful gallery on the 3rd floor in one of the buildings, and he said, "Oh, let's do a show, but you got to come up with a frame concept." See, I had no frames. I'm just showing him these. He's looking at these pieces by their own selves, you know.
Right, but he's thinking of them as incomplete.
Well, he wants to sell stuff, and he says, "Can you put glass on it? Do you want to put it in a wood frame?" And I answered no. And he said, "Would you?"
I'm going to give you this show. Nope.
Would you? Well, the really smart gallery people like to call the shots.
Yeah,
they want to look good, and they want to sell. They're in it almost as much as you are, right? He said, "Well, you could probably do something in vacuum form." And I always thought, well, vacuum form is really low-end, cheap-ass. I did it in college. It's really...
So vacuum form is just like taking a piece of plastic and molding it basically to whatever size or shape you need it to, and you have to do it with heat,
You have a male
right?
and female mold, and you get the plastic warm, and it drapes.
So it just, like that, okay.
But it's not accurate. It's quite soft, and it's a kind of low-end display material. You see it in retail stores and stuff. Not something you think of.
Right, I think of packaging.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think of packaging when I look at this sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
you could drop your phone in here and then put a cover on it, and it's all packaged up.
So I'm wandering here, but I do like stuff like this, and I like to go to places that make cool stuff, and I love vendors and guys who do specialties. So I found a guy that could do this.
Yeah.
And once he understood what I wanted, he made me a couple dozen of these for that first show. It worked out pretty good. Some people didn't like it. In fact, some people bought the work and threw the frame away or gave it back to me. Well, he just liked the piece. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
You know?
I know, but it's just sort of like sometimes, I don't know.
So
that would have hurt my feelings.
So I did that for the first show, and then the second show the work's a little bit bigger, and then I got too big for the technology.
Oh, really? Because they can only do it in small...
Yeah, and it gets really flaky as it gets bigger. Plus, the piece would get disproportionately large, I think. So the stuff I did the last 3 years is 16 by 16 and 16 by 20.
He's pointing to some artwork.
Far
All right, something's happening here. I don't know what's happening.
Sorry, I should have
I
been.
love this frame. Oh, so this is here. I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna turn it around so it stays.
But you can see a couple things here. One, you can
Here,
see
I'll hold.
you
I'm
can
gonna back it
see
up. There we
the
go.
progression of the work with the same thinking of, in this case, two grid systems that overlap, and that reveals all these compositional opportunities. And then I've got a little thickness so that you can have the physical assemblage approach. But I couldn't do the frame, so I had a different guy make these fairly conventional acrylic frames, which you can choose to have or not to have.
And then you can, again,
Yeah, they're real simple.
just drop in with 2 screws on the back.
And that connects with my exhibition design world, which I
Here, I'm gonna
big-
put this a little closer so they can you tap on the strings and just show them where the strings
it's a
are?
guitar string. I think this is a nice D string or C string.
Probably
Is it
D.
D? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. But it's got a little thickness to it. But a big part of my professional world is the exhibition design, so I know all these techniques.
Right.
I know where to get this guy is. I know where the vacuum form guy is.
Right.
I'd love working with smart technical vendors.
Well, and this is like an aspect that not a lot
Yeah.
of artists always
Yeah.
know about,
Yeah.
but you having this industrial side to you.
And I know who
Really
to,
lends
I know who
itself.
to ask if I don't know. I mean,
Right.
I can ask around. I can find people to make stuff. And I've always liked the artists, the LA artists from the '70s, the glass artists, and Larry Bell and Valentine who did cast resin, and they used technology for their work because they knew where to go. They went to they went to Rayathon to get technology.
Well, you
which
know,
I
this
like.
this sort of works into
You
like
know?
people that do like big public works.
Yeah, I would
you
love
know,
to. Yeah.
Because when you do a public work, it can seem daunting if you think that you have to figure out how to do the whole thing by yourself.
No, they don't even do it. They have.
Right. They don't even do their own work.
Yeah,
They-
Klaus Ollenberg never built a thing after his first
Right.
baked potato.
Then they just hire
He
people.
had somebody doing it.
Yeah, they just know all the people to hire and how to get this stuff done, and they oversee it like a manager. But otherwise, and even then, I'm not even
It's
sure.
not even hiring. There are shops that specialize in public art, and the guys who built Klaus Ollenberg's work probably built 100 pieces for him. Big shop out in the valley. That's all he did is huge public artwork.
Let this be a lesson to you guys that are
based
thinking.
on his sketches and his diagrams. And
Yeah, if you're thinking about ever doing public work, just know that you don't have to
You
know
don't-
how
you
to
don't
do
have
the
to do it.
whole thing. There are people for that.
Yeah.
And that's part of the process, and that's what people
No,
expect.
there's a steel guy just up from Jones Coffee I know that does beautiful water jet steel, and he could cut anything out of steel with water jet.
Yeah.
Fine lace, as much as almost 3/8 of an inch. Beautiful. He does gateways and kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, I
So
mean, there's
that's-
people for everything.
Oh yeah, I think that's great to work with those.
You just have to come up with the idea, and then how to execute it. That's everybody else's problem.
Well, then I went at this working with boxes. That's what I'm doing right now is these boxes, box pieces. That's what the bubble up piece
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the box.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, why don't you bring that over? I want to tell you that although this room is small, he's got like a little wood workshop set up in here. And it kind of goes from the beginning of a piece, there's the wood part, and then it goes over to the assembly part, and then the painting part, and then finally the execution, the executed piece part,
well, more or less.
more or less. All right.
Well, this is.
I'll hold it while you.
I got stuck on this. I didn't finish it. I worked on it for weeks, but this is a cigar box. This is a box from a hobby shop. It's hard to make boxes, so I prefer to buy them.
Yeah.
But then I couldn't find any boxes I liked, so I had a guy make boxes.
Oh,
So once again, I'm off to a vendor.
right.
I've got a woodworking guy who makes beautiful.
More boxes coming your way. I love this. This is like show and tell, you guys. There's a few questions too. I want to pull them up so that you can address them.
So look, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it's
So-
gorgeous.
This guy is a woodworker, and so I gave him some specs, and he gave me a couple dozen boxes, and that became the basis for.
Now that's when you need something specific. That is a completely. What do you need?
Just I'll get it.
Okay. That's when you need something specific. Then that is definitely a way to think about these things. But I want to remind you guys, if you're exploring thrift stores, hello thrift stores, you can find all kinds of weird things in thrift stores.
So this is that box. This is the box that he made.
And then you cut it out to
I did
to
the rest
accommodate.
Of it. I did the rest of it. But it's really fairly simple.
But it becomes almost like a puzzle piece.
Yeah. And again
Love
here,
it.
and so this is the overlap grid idea, but now it's got more depth.
Yeah, and so this idea is that this bottom box
Yeah.
is skewed, and
Yeah.
it's great.
And you can do it this way or that way.
Yeah.
And then I've got this sort of, I don't know what kind of color you call this, but I've done a couple with analogous colors where it's all different blues. But the point is, the guy made the box for me. I couldn't make a box that good.
I
So-
know, I've tried
so-
to make frames, and they're just too tedious.
So I don't have any qualms about having somebody make something for me.
Yeah, no, this is good.
Yeah. So but this I thought was kind of interesting piece.
It
the
is
way
very interesting.
and I've made a half dozen in this sort of composition, trying different angles, different colorways. And you have the ambiguity of what's on the front surface and what isn't. Your eye is trying to sort it out,
Yeah.
which is why
Yeah, it's always got a question in it,
and it,
which is very cool.
it has quite a good presence in person. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Here, there's a couple of questions here. So, Carol Ratliff is talking about, I think, the brewery, about the large art community. Carol Ratliff wanted to know who made the frame and what kind of cost. And Carol, I'm assuming that you're talking about the frame on this thing. So what was the cost like on this?
Oh, they're super cheap, but I had to buy it in volume. I mean, I had 30 of them made or something. I think it was
Yeah, you're super cheap and my super
40,
cheap.
$40, $50 each. I don't know. I had a
Okay,
whole bunch
that's
of them made.
that's not too expensive. It might
Yeah.
it's
Well, if you took a piece
not
to a
horrible.
framer, you're going to
Yeah.
pay
Oh, I know.
150 or
yeah,
something.
if you're framing your work.
In fact, I had two guys that could do it.
Okay,
You
so
had, you had to work with them and make mock-ups, and they weren't framers. They didn't know what it was for. They're just molders. You know,
yeah,
a
they
bunch of
just do the
guys.
thing. You're just instructing them how
In
to
fact,
do it.
I couldn't get across to the guy what I wanted, so I made a full-size foam core mock-up. And
Oh.
I put the art in it, and I said,
This is what I want.
Now I get it. I mean, and then he got really into it because he wanted it to be.
Well, sometimes you have to get your point across.
Well, he is going to be in a show, and I think he really tried to do a good job because he was like really into it.
That as he should,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
now his work's going to get shown like
Yeah.
that too. Now
Yeah.
you just elevated him.
Yeah.
All right, so Carol, so hopefully that answered your question. Roughly $40 to $50, and he had to make them in bulk, so he had to do 30, 40,
Yeah.
50 pieces. So, but I mean, you know, depending on who you have in your community, you might be able to find it for less or not. I don't know.
In LA, you can get anything made. There is a vendor for everything.
Well, you know, and now with the internet, I mean, if you don't have something near you, I'm sure you can find something.
You can find something. You find somebody who can find. You can find it.
Yeah.
can
And what
find
did
anything.
you call this process of plastic?
That's vacuum forming,
Vacuum forming.
and it's low tech.
Low tech vacuum
Low
forming.
tech.
Hopefully that's helpful.
They make a wooden mold though. They have to make it's called not a form. They have a name for it, but it's a male and a female mold that sandwiches the hot raw
Plastic.
plexiglass, acrylic technically, into the shape, and then it sort of drapes.
Right.
Yeah, it's a low tech deal.
Carol, I'm thinking about your work. Carol's a ceramicist. This could be really interesting if you did have this done deep enough to like showcase your work and exactly the size. It could be really interesting. Let's see what else we got in questions. Let's see.
Wow, that's cool how that works.
Yeah. Georgia says that she likes the dimensionality of your work.
It's all about dimensions,
Yeah.
dimensionality.
Okay. Somebody's calling you an enigmatic art. He is enigmatic like me.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Clifton, do you want to...
One's an enigma.
Clifton, if you want to explain yourself, write it down and I will relay. Okay. So how has your work changed? I mean, because it's still really graphic. How, are you seeing it move in a particular direction?
What I've learned about myself and other artists is you do something and I could do this to it, and then I could do that, and a month later, where you're at is nothing like where you were.
Right, it shifted.
But once in a while, that's a lonely road that goes nowhere. But you've got, like,
Yes, I know that road.
look at this pile of crap I have here.
They can't see your pile of crap. I don't think this is crap. I think that's, especially on camera, oh my God, it looks great.
Well, I got this idea to make artwork for corners, like a corner of a room.
Yeah.
So these are little Scotch tape mock-ups of a piece that would be much bigger,
Yeah.
but it would be installed in a corner of a room.
Yeah, if you had a vacant corner, I can see
and
how
then
that would work.
Then you could walk around and see the various sort of compositional results that you get. So I did that for a month. I kept making these mock-ups, and I photographed them in the corner, and then I kind of gave up on it. But
Why?
Well, I don't know. And then I did inside corners and outside corners. Yeah, here's an outside corner with a corner.
Oh, so like for a post or something?
Well,
Maybe.
Well,
We can't see it
well,
right here.
there's
Oh,
corner.
here, use the edge of your table.
What is this?
Oh, here we go. Okay.
If this would
Here,
be.
let me hold it up, and you can.
This would be an outside corner, like the corner of a hallway.
Oh, yeah.
See,
Yeah.
as opposed to an inside corner.
Right, which is like that.
If you have a wall.
Like a
that.
like a wall.
So the point is that it's a kind of distraction I was into for several months or a couple months, and then I completely dropped it.
I don't know. I think it's really interesting, and you may have inspired myself and a few other people because it's very cool. But nobody ever thinks about corners.
Yeah. Well, that's an opportunity, right?
Here, there's some other.
The walls are full of art. How about the corners, right?
So Carol, when we were talking about the frames, she said, "I do tile murals, and those frames would work well with." Run, Carol, run towards it. Tamara's thanking me for having this. You're welcome, Tamara. Laura Fertino, corner artwork, mind blown. Clifton, now he's answering the enigma question. Means that even though he can be quiet and shy in his own element, he can be anything.
I can be loud and obnoxious. Well, teaching got me out of that. I've been a teacher for so long. You can't be a shy teacher. You've got to.
Yeah, you've got to be out there.
You've got to lay it out.
Tamara says that piece you've just shown, which God knows I have no idea which one it is now. I'm sorry. Is so nice. Even at those smaller sizes, I bet clients would buy them. Are you thinking about the corner pieces? I'm thinking that's what you're thinking. And I would agree. The corner pieces are so cool. Georgia thinks so too. Love the corner idea. Yes, corner art is fabulous. Are you getting inspired now?
Maybe I need that kind of reassurance because I make those little books you do on the internet. I made a book of them, and they look pretty good in a little book because you could imagine they were larger than they are, but I didn't. But to answer where I've been the last 2 years, and I'm still into it, are these constructions where I got rid of the frame.
Yeah.
Literally.
Oh, so now they're much more. They're even more abstract.
So
they're not contained.
Not contained. Where did that one go from?
Which one?
Get this one on your lower left on the floor.
This one. Okay.
Okay, this is a good.
So in comparison.
I was working inside a very formal.
Yeah, very formal box.
But I was always punching through the edge, and then I decided to get rid of the edge. So I've got like the bubble up piece, these pieces that are essentially wall sculptures, I guess. I mean, they're
beautiful.
Yeah, no,
I love. This is a cigar box.
This is a
isn't
cigar
it?
box. Yeah.
Did you get this at the cigar store when they put them out?
I have a guy who gets
You have a guy. There's a cigar store not close by, not very far by, that I walk by all the time, and I'm always collecting all the cigar boxes.
No, I actually have a smoke there every Thursday.
Oh.
And I take the boxes, but you want Davidoffs. You don't want the other boxes.
No.
They're the best boxes.
Okay, I will remember
So,
that.
so this kind of I don't know
take this. and I'm gonna
categorically
move
what
it.
you would call that, Natalie, but I've done.
I mean, so here's what it looks like on the
Yeah.
side, and then on the bottom. Where did you get this metal ring? Oh, now he's walked away from me again.
Well, before I answer that, this is where it's going.
Oh,
See, once you get going, you really can't stop yourself.
well,
See,
of course.
This is a sort of boxes that are intersecting by this kind of knuckle or link, and you got these, in this case, 45-degree angles, and you've got this circle, but it's, it's a kind of wall sculpturally. I had a gallery guy tell me it was too much like decor. It wasn't art.
Oh, that's
He
interesting.
calls it decor, and I said, "Oh, that set me back about a year."
Oh my God. Words hurt, people. Yeah. Words hurt.
Well, it's decor, but that's what I'm doing. So.
No.
But I really dig this kind of stuff. Just building it and making it.
Where are you getting these metal rings from?
Hobby shops. This is a macrame.
Macrame rings.
You want to go to the hobby shops. You want to go to Michael's or even the dreadful Hobby Lobby or the Whistle Stop or you can get all that stuff.
Now, you know what I'm looking at? I'm looking at this piece right here. And I'm looking at the back, and I'm seeing that there's only one hook, and it's off-center. Now, are you telling me that this is a perfectly balanced piece?
I'm telling you that because I made it work that way.
Oh my God!
Well, you don't want to crook it on the wall.
That is amazing, right? Just right. Okay, now my mind is blown because this is so off-center, but he has it perfectly balanced so that when you hang it, it hangs perfectly straight.
Well, of course. How else would you do it?
All right.
I've got a little level. See?
Yeah, you have a little level. Laura is saying, but isn't your bubble up piece a drawing? And Laura, just to answer, there is actually a piece that is not a drawing. If you check the feed, you'll see it. It's an actual structure that hangs on the walls.
I think I sold it.
You sold it? It probably did. It was such a great piece. Anyway, and what I showed earlier today were the drawings for the color mock-ups of that actual sculptural piece, just so you know. Georgia says no boundaries. Georgia also says fabulous.
Boy, I like these people.
I'm telling you, it's a great group of people.
But
it's really awesome.
But I've just got dozens, but there's another.
Now we're getting some excitement over here.
Here we have.
Here, I'm going to have to move this back a little bit because you guys can't see the full thing. That's how big it is.
Now,
so
if
can
you
see
rotate it
starts
slightly,
here,
now,
like that?
no, this way. In the
this
vertical
way?
plane. These three together are the same size, and together they're a perfect cube. In other words, I took a cube and I cut it apart to get the three pieces, and this is the cube. In other words, I had these made for that other project that didn't go anywhere, the towers.
He's got all kinds of weird, crazy stuff in here that's awesome. And so this was a different project where he had, is this like balsa wood or something?
No, this is.
It's really lightweight.
It's maple. Maple ply. But I took one of these and I cut it apart, and that's where these. So these three add up to a cube. That's just a little intellectual.
I see. But I was going to say, but they're not the same size. Okay, because
No.
this one was cut thicker on purpose.
Well, I wanted a little three-dimensional. I didn't want them to be even.
Yeah.
And again, it's kind of a connector that unites these two forms that are the same size. One's negative, one's positive.
This is a piece from this year too, you guys.
Then you got this stripy thing through it.
Tamara says, I hope customers watch these videos. And Clifton says, I like everything he does. Yes, I would agree. It's super cool.
Well, I'm between shows. Anybody has an idea for a show? I literally have stuff to go. I'm ready to go.
I just want to say too, in case you thought that he's all about graphics, not true. Not true. One of the things I love about what Wayne does is he and I were in a plein air group. I sort of got in when you were on your way out. But in any case...
That's why I left. No.
Thanks. Thanks for that. One of the things that he does is like these quick pen sketches, and then he adds watercolor to them. And he has loads and loads...
I got about 50 of them up
Yeah,
there.
loads and loads of these little sketchbooks that he does. But like this is a travel one. You said this one...
Sicily.
Sicily from 2010. But I mean, they're just little pen drawings that he's just watercolored over very quickly. And they're just really beautiful.
It's kind of like a journal without the notes. You know, they're 10-minute, 15-minute.
Your 10 or 15 minutes is other people's
I'm
hour.
too impatient.
I mean, just beautiful little works.
That's maybe a little longer. Well,
Okay, I'll give you 20 on that one.
I always drug a camera on these trips, and then I left the camera home. Well, I take it, but I started to take the sketchbook. So I can't go anywhere on a trip without the sketchbook. And
Well, plus, I mean, it's so much
Yeah.
nicer way to get to know where you are.
It totally is. It totally is.
Yeah, I mean, talk about
Yeah.
remembering details.
Yeah.
I mean, because now you've drawn them.
So I got about 50 of these
This
books
is an
up
uncolored
on the
one.
shelf, and there's no particular purpose other than they're fun to do.
You know what? You know which one I would
Yeah.
really love to see and show is the one that you did for one of our plein air Zooms, that where you did your alcohol cupboard.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
Scotland. That was our Scotland trip.
That was Scotland. I thought that was here.
Oh, I did my own alcohol. I did my
Yeah,
own
you
Scotch
did
cabinet.
your own alcohol cupboard.
Scotch. Alcohol sounds so bad.
Fine, Scotch cupboard.
Scotch
So
whiskey.
much nicer. Do you have it nearby?
It's one of those.
Okay, yeah,
Natalie,
all right.
I'd never be able to find it.
Never mind.
Yeah,
Just know that it was awesome.
yeah.
But anyway, I mean, just like these sketches.
I used to tell my students to draw every day, and because I did, and then I don't draw every day, and I couldn't get the students to draw anyway. They won't draw anymore. Art students don't draw.
They don't?
No, it's heartbreaking.
What do they do instead?
They have a computer.
Oh, that.
They have
That.
Illustrator and Photoshop and every other kind of digital software. They think they can draw, but they can't. They can ask the computer to draw a circle, and it's a perfect circle.
Oh,
So
well.
there's no
juice.
juice, no sketching, no making a mistake and then building on the mistake to do something else.
It's
Just a
heartbreaking.
way,
That
yeah.
is heartbreaking.
It is, yeah.
I just want to pull this one out again because this is where we started in the work that you just saw.
2000.
I mean, this is 20 years ago, and you can see how it progressed from this idea all the way to these fabulous corner pieces, or
Well,
you know,
can
to
still see
whatever.
it.
But I mean, you can see that there's an element of this and everything else that he's done, but it's just sort of diluted
Do you want
and
to
focused
talk
at
about
the
the
same time.
concrete?
Oh yeah. He's pouring concrete, you guys. Yes. Do we have to move for that, or can we do it here? Do you have something
There's
here?
one piece behind you if you can reach it.
Oh, I see it.
It's heavy.
It's concrete, for God's sakes. All
Here's,
right.
here's a person that's so impatient, me, that I just can't stop.
And I'm holding it this way, but I don't know. It could be this way.
Yeah,
Could
that's
be
it.
this way.
Yeah, thus far these have not been very successful, but I'm got
Concrete tiles.
several more that I'm going to be doing. I've done three pours so far, and it's complicated to pour this.
I know. Have you thought about using something lighter weight, like
yes, and
plaster?
plaster, maybe a little less durable than I want, but I am looking for a medium that's a little easier to do. This is a bitch,
Yeah, I
and
know.
it's-
I know. Working with concrete is difficult.
and it's a mess. And I live in a condo, so don't tell the condo board I'm pouring concrete.
Of course not. Do not tell the condo board that he's pouring concrete. Big trouble. Big trouble.
But this is some of the same thinking, only it's cast instead of constructed. But you have to construct the mold. So
Right.
Yeah.
And so how are you constructing these molds?
Well, I
Oh,
got
good.
this
We got
one out.
something here. So here's the back of his piece, and they can't really read
The
it. It
message
says
here.
4x4 Wayne Hunt 2018 and 2022. So this has got a dual purpose here.
Well, I did it obviously 5 years ago, and I didn't like it because nobody ever saw it.
Yeah.
And
Well, that would-
looking around for things to cast concrete in, I took the sides off and made it into a mold. So this is the result of pouring concrete
So then
over that piece.
So then you've got boards on the side to contain a form
concrete
to
form.
to hold the concrete in place, and then he pours the concrete in on top, And this is what, like an inch thick?
Yeah, about an inch. Yeah.
Roughly an inch thick, and then you wait for it to dry. How do you get it to release from this?
You don't. That's the problem.
Oh.
That's right. That's where I have to learn. You need to make an angle. It's called a draft angle, so that the concrete has an angle so it can slide out. The reason I have this is I showed somebody, and they like this much better than the concrete result. So this is a spent piece of art that was reused for concrete, but the result of it being reused makes it kind of cool. It's a kind of interesting. I don't know if I do something with it, but you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
So that's why I.
Yeah, so why you relabeled it, of course.
So maybe it has a second life, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what I was thinking about this one, and this is just me riffing off your idea here, is what if you, I mean, to get a textural, you could have, even have an extra textural aspect to it is, I mean, first of all, try plaster or whatever, but what if you mix straw into it to lighten it up some? It would take up space, could be for interesting.
What I need is a lesson or a technician to help me. I would just talk to the guy in the orange apron at Home Depot. That's my advisor.
Yeah.
So, what does he know?
It's fabulous.
I love making stuff, and that's just the latest kind of.
It's so fun to be tangible, isn't it?
I think it's like the corner thing. It's not going to go anywhere, but I'm gonna these little pieces here. I'm gonna cast into a piece.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
So that concrete.
Here, I may pull the little pieces that he's pouring out.
Concrete will reveal.
So casting these into the concrete. So now we've got another sketchbook coming.
Well, I don't always draw the ideas out, but.
Can we show part of this sketchbook too? Oh, good.
Well, this is a super close up of what I'm talking about. Where this would be the rough concrete, but within it are these.
Right.
It's like what lies beneath. Inside this rough concrete are this beautiful urban set of pipes and things. So it has a kind of metaphor of the city, like when you see guys working in the street and you see the pipes.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. The guys
it's beautiful.
Yeah. So I think I can cast those in so that they are revealed in perfect form, but they're captured in the concrete. I think
you can.
And with the metal ring. So I'm going to do 3 pieces. Oh, that's exactly what I want to do. See,
this piece
right here. Yeah.
It's hard to. There we go.
So I think I can. And now this would be the mold. See right here, where you have to do the mold in reverse because you're working in negative shape.
Laura says, "How about a silicone mold for the concrete pieces?"
We could do that too. I could make a mold and work in positive if I did that. Now I'm working in negative where I'm doing the reverse.
Right.
And it's mind.
Right. It messes with your head.
It really it makes you appreciate a good sculptor that can think dimensionally.
Well, it can keep it straight.
Yeah.
I always think about that too, like in linoleum cutting, because it's the same thing, cutting away the negative space.
But this would be an ideal result if I could make that work.
Yeah.
So.
I just want to, I mean, just as an example, like it's okay to have a notebook full of ideas and sort of mess with them and, and just use them as fodder. Maybe you'll use it right now, maybe you won't. But I mean, even here, he's got little drawings of like how to hold things in place. I would assume that's a reminder and everything else.
This dates back to my business life. If all those sketchbooks up there, if you look, the first few pages are travel and New York or wherever. And if you start from the back side, are all business sketches and notes and so, calculations, and here's an art center exhibit I'm working on. But the front is my own work. It's a weird.
No, it's good.
So all those books have a front and a back.
So here's the front. Oops, hold on. Which is sort of fun. Here's the sketches, and then flip it around, and then here are the ideas for other things. That is so great.
And each
double duty.
Each one of these, like here's just written crap and studies this is for an exhibit in Seattle.
Yeah.
In the back, but in the front is the more artistic, travel-y.
Right.
You know.
Ducks and whatever else.
Yeah, well, this is not a very good sketchbook, but
Plain.
the point was I had the book I could use both ways. I still do.
Yeah, no, this is a great idea.
Yeah, and now I can tear all the bad ones out, or whatever.
Okay, so let's see about what kind of questions. Your art is lovely. Market those drawings. What does that mean? He colored the ink drawings with scotch. Okay, let me.
Talking too fast.
Hold on. Oh my God.
That might be a good idea. Maybe.
Those are very marketable. I think they're talking about your sketches here.
Yeah.
Great illustrations on steroids. There's someone on the web that just has a website of only her drawings, just like the ones you are showing that she has been selling. Laura says, what does that mean? He colored the ink drawings in scotch. Just to clarify, he had done a drawing in one of our, we were doing plein air on Zoom for a while. Not plein air, but just meeting as at art group on Zoom for a little bit during COVID. And he did a drawing of his liquor cupboard, his scotch cupboard, just in pen and ink, and then just filled it in with a little bit of watercolor. That's what we're talking about. He didn't actually use scotch.
That was a time we were trapped in our homes.
Yes.
We all agreed to paint something in our houses. Yes. That was in the depths of COVID.
Yeah. Tamara says, market those drawings. She says, your art is lovely. Georgia says, he uses the same brand of sketchbooks that I do.
Yeah, Aquabee.
Yeah. Carol Ratliff says, I'd like to see several of those together. And I'm not sure, what are you talking about, the concrete tiles? And Tamara admires your sense of humor. Everybody thinks you're great, Wayne. Clifton says, use wire. So I'm thinking he's talking about using wire in the concrete.
I actually did that in my second pour.
Oh, you did?
A little mini rebar.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Georgia says, I think there are videos on YouTube about how to mix and use the concrete and straw mixture.
Yeah, I saw a couple that I looked at. On YouTube, you can find almost anything if you dig deep.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
It becomes college.
Yeah.
And Carol was talking about seeing a couple of the cement pieces together, like cement tile.
But they're so hard to make. I mean, it would take a year to get a wall's worth.
Well, I think they're hard to make because you're figuring it out.
And then the mold is ruined. At least my molds are ruined after I use them.
But you would
once.
figure this stuff out. Once you get it figured out, then it's going to be just a manufacturing issue.
You didn't mention my tower.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My tower distraction that I had for.
Here, yes, there's the tower distraction behind us. That
They're not glued.
I'm okay. I won't touch them. Also, what about these things? Are these glued?
I had a growing scrap drawer, and one day I just started gluing them together.
Just as little sculptural pieces.
And they actually came out kind of interesting.
Really fun.
Again, I think I really should be a sculptor. I mean, it's really fun to.
I'm surprised you haven't just gone in that direction completely.
The idea of a cube on its point and all the things that you can, kind of architectural riffs on that,
Where's the cube on its point, the big
here.
sculpture? No, but
Tony Rosenthal.
Where is it?
One's in New York.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm a big Tony Rosenthal fan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. Did you want to say
No,
anything about
well,
your sculptural towers behind it?
Stacking up cubes and twisting them and adding graphics. Again, it didn't go anywhere. They're just there. They're kind of fun, but they're.
You know what? I see something that everybody should. You probably don't think twice about this, and I hope you don't mind. Can I pull over your mat with your brushes, just because this is a good idea? Look at this idea, just to keep your brushes. This is a complete aside here. Concrete and rice would make it lighter. That's a really good idea too, Carol. They're giving you lots of things to think about, Wayne. Okay, this is just an aside. This is a bamboo mat, it looks like. And then he just strung some
He didn't do anything.
Oh, you didn't? You bought this?
No, I got a box of art supplies from a lady who passed away, and it was in there, and I just loved it as an object. And over the years, I've taken all the brushes out and ruined them. These are her brushes.
That are left?
I've had them for like 20 years. I just always liked it as a hanging object. I have never used it the way you are saying I should have been.
I'm not saying you should have been.
Yeah.
I just saw it for what it was, and I was just like, this is a great idea.
And you roll it up
hang
and-
your brushes.
When you roll it up and take it with you on the
Yeah,
side. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a
Yeah.
bamboo mat that you could probably pick up just about anywhere, and then this is ribbon, or it might have been.
I'm guessing
Elastic
this
at
might
some
be
point?
commercially available.
Yeah. No, this is commercially
You
available.
know, I mean the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. This looks. I've never seen
Anyway,
this.
I take no credit for this.
Anyway, and then just stringing loops in and out, and then
Yeah.
hanging your brushes like this.
To me, it's more of
Genius.
an art object on my wall.
It's done great.
Just put it over here. I'll get it.
Okay. I'm just gonna put it down right here. All right. Well, Wayne, we've covered a lot of ground here. Good idea for the brushes. Yes. Oh, somebody said something about Wayne is great. He totally has something that reminds me of our grandfather, but with sketchbooks. Yes, he totally does. I
Well,
agree.
now that I'm a grandfather, I take that as a compliment.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you about my grandfather later. All right. Well, I think we've covered quite a bit of ground. Do you have anything?
We didn't cover teaching or art center. If that's
Well,
of
I'm
interest.
sorry. We'll have to make that
Yeah, next
into a
time.
second,
Yeah.
a second interview.
Yeah.
We've been sitting here for a long
Yeah.
time, and
No.
you
An
know,
hour is plenty of one person.
I think we could talk forever, quite honestly. But
Well, Natalie, thank you so much for coming over to my little goldfish bowl here.
I love it. I love it here.
You know.
Thank you for being with me.
Yeah.
Do you have any parting words for our friends?
No, but I think I'm gonna get my enthusiasm back and get to work on some of this stuff. I just need somebody to remind me that it's kind of fun, and it's literally stacking up.
I know there's so much
It's-
stuff here, you
yeah.
guys. There really is.
Yeah. So
Later on today, or maybe tomorrow, I will post his Instagram link and his website link. Those are the only two things, right?
yeah.
And so you can follow him because he does post work often. He also takes fabulous pictures of
Yeah.
graphic things that he sees just walking daily on the street. It's sort of actually an inspiration for me for doing the same. There's been a few things.
I think that's a good discipline to find artistic things on the street, and
It is.
again, there's no real purpose other than it's interesting and fun. And
Here, let me.
Yeah.
Clifton says, "Tell him thanks from me." Clifton says, "Thank you."
thank you.
Georgia
Clifton.
says, "Wonderful interview," and Laura says, "Yeah, Wayne, get out of your own way and create more."
Okay, that's today's party. Get out of your own damn way. Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, go have a fabulous Sunday. Do not walk into sliding glass doors, and make it a beautiful day. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.